Welcome to Car Stories. Today we'll discuss the collision mitigation braking system, part of the ADAS suite which most cars are giving.
So let's begin with the most inevitable part of our city traffic, and that's the risk of a forward collision. You hit someone walking, cycling, coming from the wrong side of the road, or just a vehicle which is stationary or brakes suddenly, right? And that's when it becomes a fault of yours, so to speak. So, as a person who has spent his own money buying a car, which you're driving yourself, the last thing you want to do is to hit another person, car, cyclist, whoever. And the thing to remember here is that you're in India and you're a car owner. And irrespective of whatever the reality is, it's always your fault. Okay? Unless you're a person who enjoys road fights, uh, you have no choice but to make sure you don't hit another person comfortably. Now, this is where the collision mitigation braking system, or CMBS as it is called in many of the cars today, comes in. It's mostly misunderstood because we are all experts in having opinions on things which we haven't used. Um, I have used this for a while. I have driven up in the hills, on city roads, in crowded smaller lanes, on main roads, on expressways and highways. And so I'm going to run you through how it actually works. Um, so basically, this works in three broad steps. Before I begin, I want to make one clarification. This experience of mine on CMBS is basically based on an automatic transmission Honda City latest generation. Right? It CMBS works exactly like this in all cars in the sense that the algorithm is identical, it's not different. Um, in some cars it's offered in manual transmission. I don't know how that works, so that's the caveat I want to be very clear on, that I'm discussing this with an automatic transmission car and my experience is specific to Honda City, but I don't believe that this works fundamentally differently in other cars which are giving this feature. So that's a clarification we need to understand.
The collision mitigation braking system will basically work in three steps. First, you will get a visual warning on your instrument cluster if the system determines that there is an impending collision. This will be followed by an audio warning if you don't take any corrective action. Notice that as I approach the scooter, the alarm is going off. If there is still no corrective action, then the car will gently press brakes to slow down till the driver starts applying brakes. In the event that no brakes are applied, no evasive action is taken, the car will come to an abrupt stop about 3 feet from the object. That's the typical cycle of this system. The important thing to note here is that this system engages only when all these three conditions are met. First of all, there should be a possibility of a collision as detected by the car, which means somebody is stalled in front of you or suddenly somebody jumps in front of your car and there is no possibility of stopping the car unless it's braked immediately. Second, the speed differential between you and the car ahead should be at least 5 kilometers per hour. If it's less, then it doesn't treat it as a potential accident situation. Lastly, you should remember that it will not engage if you are braking because that is considered as an alert mode. And since it's in the alert mode, the system decides that you are in control of the car and therefore there is no real risk. Remember that this is part of the Advanced Driver Assistance System, ADAS, which is by its definition an assistance system and not an autonomous car. So the car does not take the control from you. If you are in control, it means you're braking or you're not really speeding. it will not start interfering and activating the system. That's the key. And so it works only when all these conditions are met.
So what this means basically is that um, if you're a careful road user, the CMBS system will give you at first a audio visual signal. Once in a while, when you are little aggressive and about to go close to somebody, given the conditions that we discussed, and if you press a brake or you slow down, then the system will disengage. If someone suddenly abruptly slows down in front of you, or a pedestrian jumps in front of you, a cyclist cuts in. When I'm saying cuts in, he cuts in and stops, right? In such a scenario, the car will either gently apply a brake and slow down, or it may come to a full stop at a distance of approximately 3 feet away from that object, and that's how it works. Now, remember that this will happen only if your speed differential between you and the vehicle in front of you, the object, is greater than 5 kilometers an hour. So if the other vehicle is going at 5 kilometers an hour and you're going at 8 kilometers an hour, this is not going to brake. The system won't come into play. Or if you are pressing a brake, again it won't come in. So in a typical traffic jam where you're going bumper to bumper, sort of close to each other, it never comes into play because you are, your leg is on the brake. And remember, this is a automatic transmission vehicle I'm talking about. So your leg is basically on the brake, you're releasing the brake. If you release the leg from the brake fully, it will go at 8 kilometers an hour. So in a bumper to bumper crawling traffic, there is literally no way this system is going to engage, and this is one of the things that we need to understand fully. So its purpose is only to prevent a collision which has an impact. The other, in my driving experience, this is very important, I have seen only visual and audio alerts. Sometimes I have not seen any actual braking. Okay, given the scenarios that I've driven in, which basically covers all kinds of roads. So I found these warning flashes very, very helpful. Very, very helpful because often we find ourselves braking very hard with a vehicle in front because we were just at half a second late. This alert helps me take action before. So to that extent, I found this extremely helpful, the warning system. So I am confident that if I do make a mistake at times, then the CMBS has my back and it will bring the vehicle to a stop before I hit somebody. You will hear a lot of fear and criticism, anxiety on the CMBS system on social media from car users. Almost always by people who actually haven't used it. One of the biggest fears is that it will suddenly brake and you will get hit by a vehicle from the back because the vehicle came to a stop. So let us pause a bit here and let's imagine you don't have this system, and you indulge in aggressive driving, and which means that you tend to brake at the last minute very hard. In such a scenario, you are highly likely to have a high incidence of getting hit from the back because the person behind you in our country scenario typically tailgates you. So when he's tailgating you, he's kind of following you on the speed, and so if you're going very fast and then slam the brakes, that person is not going to get that time and is likely to hit. So without the CMBS itself, if you are an aggressive driver and tend to brake at the last minute, you do get hit at the back. And a lot of reports about, see guys with this CMBS system, they get hit from the back, are typically, if you really ask me, are related, I feel, due to that nature of driving. Okay, what CMBS, however, does is that it stops the car to a complete stop 3 feet away. Now, if you're a very aggressive driver, right, by choice, then you would probably slam the brakes a little later and come to a 1 feet distance. I don't know, very aggressive. And theoretically, at that point, you can say that your chances of getting rear-ended are lower because you got that additional feet or two. Um, so, just to put the perspective, if you are an aggressive driver by choice, that means you take risks by choice, and which means you prefer to smash your brakes at the last minute. And if some person is walking in front of you, you kind of don't want to give way, and you want to go right up to the car, scare the hell out of that person, and only if the person doesn't sort of move out, then you come to a slab, hard stop. This is the uh, typical auto rickshaw style of driving. Okay, there is no other word for it. That's the way you find them driving. If you are that kind of a driver, then my suggestion is don't take the CMBS, because by choice you want to play risky. And if you want to play risky, then why do you want a system which prevents you from playing risky? Because it will interfere with your driving, and it's not going to help you. So this is actually meant for those who want to drive safely as a matter of choice. And therefore, when you by nature of your driving, when you see something in front, you tend to apply brakes and slow down. So CMBS is only at best going to give you an audio visual warning. It will, however, as I said, the fact that it will brake is there because you have no choice. You are going to hit somebody in the front because somebody jumped in front of you, or you kind of lost your attention for a sec. Rare case, once in 2 years, once in 3 years, but you did. And in such a scenario, if I have a choice of hitting somebody in the front or getting hit by somebody in the back, I would prefer to get hit by somebody in the back, because if I hit somebody in the front, I'm in serious trouble on our roads, right? The mob is going to catch me. So I'm okay in such a scenario to not hit the person, because it was a near accident situation. I was distracted, and in such a scenario, somebody hitting me from the back is an easier process. You just get an insurance and fix that bumper, so not a big deal. But hitting somebody in the front, yourself, you're a self driver and not a Mastan who fights on the road. Not okay, Umar. So you are in trouble if you do that. So, if you're not a road warrior, safe driver, then this is what you should have.